In this video, I'm going to go through everything you need to know to manage your vehicles in Calamit's My2Calumet cloud-based fuel inventory management software. To begin, navigate to inventory data on the left-hand side. You'll see from the drop-down Vehicles. Select Vehicles, and it'll take you to the Vehicle Management page. This is where you can manage all your vehicles, edit them, delete them, change different aspects of them. But what we're going to start with is going over how to add a new vehicle. You see in the top left this button, Add New Vehicle. Click this and a pop-up will come up giving you all the data that you can input to make the vehicle. We'll start with the name. First we need to name the vehicle. The name is what you'll see under the reporting and how you'll most likely be able to identify the vehicle. Some people use the VIN number, some people use the license plate, some people simply name the vehicle. In this case, we'll put Ram 1500. The code or transponder is either the 4-digit code that you're going to use for the vehicle to have access to the Wonderbox or Superbox, something similar like 1546, or you can use the license plate or the last 4 of the VIN, or if you're using transponder key fobs, at this point you would be able to scan your key fob and it would put that specific transponder number here. VIN number is optional. This is something that you can choose to identify the vehicle by the VIN if you want to put that in. Input range, whether it's going to be kilometers, miles, or operating hours. If you don't track the miles on the unit, then you can just leave this alone. The max dispense limit time and dispense limit amount. This gives you the ability to customize per vehicle how much time they can dispense and what the amount of fluid. This comes in handy, for example, if you have 2 different size trucks and you want to make sure that an S10 can't get more than, say, 20 gallons of gasoline, then you could put in 20 gallons here in the dispense limit amount. If you leave it blank, it'll just use the defaults that are set up at that fuel terminal. Construction year, if it's a 2010 or 2015, this is where you can put that. Vehicle groups has to do with the ability to track your vehicles based on a preset. So if you have vehicles that are set to specific locations, we can group them all together. To do that, we would have to go add a group. I'll show you that later. Vehicle number is automatically assigned, so you pretty much want to leave this alone. The PIN number is a secondary form of security. It goes hand in hand with the code or transponder. So if you wanted to have a code and a PIN, you could put in a secondary code. A lot of times most people don't use this. Cost center is just something you can write in to track on reporting if you want to keep track of that. Next up, the second tab at the top, from vehicle data, we go to approval. Approval allows us to determine which fuel terminals this vehicle will have access to. If we wanted to have access to all, for example, every Wonderbox and Superbox, we will just leave approved for everyone. If we want to determine which ones it has access to, let's say you have multiple offices and you only wanted to have access to the Oklahoma ones, you would click approve only for the selected, and we would select the specific offices that we wanted to have access to. The third tab here is called contingents. This allows us to specify which product and what amount of that product that this specific vehicle has access to. For example, if it's a gasoline powered truck, you don't want it to have access to diesel. To limit access to diesel, you select diesel, put the dispense amount time as 0 gallons, and the time interval for anywhere between 1 or 30 days. It doesn't matter. Click Save, and from now on, this S10 will be restricted from getting any diesel. Or at this point it's a Ram. I continue calling it S10. But the DEF, we could do the same thing. We obviously don't want it to have access to fueling any DEF, so we'll save that. Off-road diesel is the same. We can also limit the amount of fuel it has access to within a given amount of time. For example, the Ram will use gas, but we only want it to use a maximum of 100 gallons every 7 days. So we'll save that. Every 7 days, the Ram will have access to refuel 100 gallons. Now the way this works is, let's say on day 1, they'll use all of the 100 gallons. On each of the next 7 days, it would basically give access to 1/7 of 100 gallons until that total is basically back up to 100. So the person would have access each day. Let's make it a little easier for my math so I don't have to think. Let's say it's 100 gallons every 10 days. That means that each day it's going to recover 10 gallons that he can go and refuel again. Is basically the way to look at it. But the main thing to know is that within 10 days he can only use 100 gallons, and that's the way that you want to set it up. This allows you basically to control what they can and can't. Now, this is for setting up a new vehicle. Let's say that you already have a vehicle there and you want to go and edit the vehicle to change the amount of fuel that it can pull in. So you simply click on the vehicle that you want to edit. In this case, we're going to say vehicle 115. We click on it. In this vehicle, we want to go to contingents. We can edit all those contingents, or we can go to vehicle data and edit the dispense limit amount across all of the dispense points. Next up, we have vehicle groups. You can see here that we can add a vehicle group. We'll say in this case, Oklahoma vehicles. Description: all trucks and vehicles in Oklahoma. If you want to add pre-selected vehicles, so in this case we'll add the Ram, and we can add, say, 115. We can go ahead and add those in now and save it. And as we make new vehicles, we can add those and be able to see all the ones that are in that. And that comes in handy later on when we go into reporting. If you want to break apart some of your vehicles, you can do that by grouping them in a separate way. Let's say that you're keeping track of multiple sites. That's one good way that you can track those. That's basically everything that you need to know about tracking your vehicles, how to maintain all the different aspects and what they do. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at 281-446-7300. Thank you for watching.